birthday?
September 24, 1940.
Where were you born?
Gregory, San Patricio County.
Yeah. And who's your parents? Of course, Lencho and Gregoria.
Benavides.
Did you know your grandparents?
Yes, my grandma.
Whose side? Oh, you showed me the picture the
I
other day.
showed you the picture. Yeah. My grandma on my mama's side. Teresa.
Teresa? Where was she born, do you know?
In Mexico. In the mountains in Mexico. She was like Azteca Indian.
Oh, yeah?
And she married a French boy. Well, they were young, very young.
Yeah.
She married a French boy, and her mother-in-law never liked her. She called her Negra, and because she was black. My grandma was black, and so she never liked her, and always cussed her and everything. And then she says that my grandpa, he was about 17, 18. He would like to drink a lot. And then one time she says he came home in his underwear. I said, why? Because he bet his clothes. And she used to make his clothes. And another time she says he bet all my animals, my ducks, my chickens, everything. The men came and picked them up and took them away. Anyways, during the war, they had to run because like when the soldiers were coming up the mountain, a lady with a baby told my grandma, hold the baby like you're feeding it so they won't rape you. So grandma was holding it and they did everything with the women. Anyways, but when they had to keep running away, and she says that on the way that they were going away, my grandma was on a donkey and she had her kids, my mom, my aunt, and a little girl, and he had covered her with a towel, and he was walking and he stepped on a dead body and exploded. It was rotten, so he got exposed to that. And then he says that on the way they were going further down, and he says, Tere, wait, and then she says, Grandma just got hit by somebody's feet, that was hanging, a dead man was hanging. So anyways, so they made it to a barn, and then by then, yeah, my grandpa was very sick from that pestilence. And she says, the little baby kept crawling to him, and she says, "Oh, Daddy, como que to take him with her, to take her away." And he would say, "No, Mama, no." And then he died that day. That it was at night, and then my grandma got on. She kept going away from all that stuff, and got on a train in close to Mexico or somewhere, and she put all her little kids in the train, and then my mom says she wanted to go bathroom, so she got down with her. And then the trains took off.
Oh, no.
And then she says she grabbed my mom and they started running until she caught up with the train. And they ended up in Dallas. But she said they were real poor, and they would go to where the trains get rid of all the vegetables and the fruits when they're carrying it, they don't want them. And she said, and my grandma says my mom says that my grandma would go in and wait for the train to unload all the trash that they were throwing out. But she says there was a lot of people waiting for the spoils, and there were a lot of negras. And then she says that she would get rotten potatoes, rotten apples, or whatever, but they would eat them anyways, And then when she got a little older, she says that they had to go to a water, what do you call those things that are around and you get water?
The well?
A well. And she says that the ladies they would go in the morning to get water for coffee, and they were all like huddled together, and they says, no, we can't go because there's a man exposing himself. And my grandma says, where is it? Where is this happening? She said, well, it's new, he's doing it. So grandma went over there, and the man had his thing on the well, and grandma took a bat and she ended up in jail. She said she was in jail for a week. Anyways, but she said that they suffered a lot. They suffered mucho. And then they came back to Gregory, and my tia, she lived with a man that owned most of Gregory. And she lived with him because his wife was mentally ill because her son went to war and they couldn't find him. So she kind of lost it, and she was in a sanitarium. So he lived with my aunt, and he would come over like at noon or in the morning or at noon, whenever, and we were kids, and we would be sitting down to eat, and my grandma's making tortillas, and feeding us and all of that, and every time that she put a tortilla, we'd grab it, we put it on our plate. We never let him have any. But it was real. He bought us a lot of Christmases. I mean, when we were little, he bought a big box of it's a wrist thing, and it's okay. I bet somebody that's trying to get me.
It's okay.
The boxes were big things from like play toys and stuff like that. He was real good to us, and every year he bought my aunt a car, But it was real pretty. It was when we were growing up. It was real beautiful.
How did your grandparents meet? Do you know? How did Gregorio meet Lencho?
Oh, she was in Corpus. She was very young, and he was 7 years older than her. And he says that he said something to her, and she rejected him, and she slapped him and went walking. But every Saturday he would be there, and until my grandma fell for him, and then they didn't want to tell my grandma, and they ran away. They eloped because our house was on this side and my grandma's was on this other side, and there was a river, and she said they went through the river and eloped, and they stopped at a farm, and my father says they're cooking something outside, and they're cooking something, and my mama says, what is it, what's wrong? And they were, of course they were hiding, and he went and looked, and it was a big pot of menudo. So my father went in to call the carnitas, and they ate them all.
Nice.
Yeah, but it was they came back with my grandma, but and well, they had all of us.
What about his side of the family? Do you know anything about him?
Yeah, well, I never got to meet his parents because my mom would always take my oldest daughter. My oldest daughter had a great blue-green eyes and a little blondish hair, so they always took her everywhere and they forgot us. So she went to see him. She would go see him, the parents, but we didn't. We were never taken, But his parents, I don't remember their names. I don't remember my father's parents' names right now. But
That's okay.
Semi knows them. Semi has them written down. But
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
6.
6?
Uh-huh.
What are their names?
Grace was the oldest, and then Carlos. Carlos died when he was the week after being 17 from leukemia, Hodgkin's disease. And then there was Mel, and there was Reynaldo, and me, and Socorro. So, and like they never took us to my brother's burial. The hearse came to pick him up, because before that, the night before, me and him were sleeping on the floor. We had blankets and we had the door open, but he was shaking and shaking a lot. And he had already been sick from that, and because when he was in high school, they opened up a cow that was already bloated and it exploded, and he inhaled all of that stuff, and so they think that's what happened. But anyways, they took him to the hospital, and he was in there for 9 months, and my mom was with him 9 months. And one time, when I went to see him, I took a little yellow duck, and I put it through the window, and he had it on the bed, running back and forth, and he was in bed. And then the doctor was coming, so he took the duck and put it under the blanket. And when the doctor wasn't there, the duck kept going back and forth, back and forth. And so, and anyway, the doctor found that little duck, but he didn't say nothing. Dr. Grossman, and he died. My brother died 9 months later, and it was just horrible. We were going to school, and my brother man just took off to the cornfields. He was crying, but he went off. And my brother Ray, he was screaming and screaming, and when he climbed a tree in my grandmother's front yard, and I'm in the backyard, and he was up there crying and crying, and nobody paid attention to me and my little sister. And anyway, they when the hearse came, my grandmother, she was mad at my mom and dad because they were going to take him away. They brought the body to the house. They brought the body to the house, and they had a big bowl of onions because of the spirits of why they were. And I never went to see him dead. I never wanted to see him dead because he was my best friend. And anyway, they took him and buried him, and I never went to see him, But it was Carlos.
Is that the one that's buried next to Garencio?
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. He had, after being a week on his birthday, he was 17 then, he died. And my mom and dad took it very hard too. And my father never went to church until my brother died. He started being very religious, being with I don't know what the name of it is, from the church. He started that what is it called? I don't know what it's called, but anyways, and he helped with the bingos with the church, and he always helped at the church.
Oh, he was one of the deacons, kind of.
Yes, he was, and he became very, very religious after that. And my grandma, we had to walk. We had a long walk from the farm to Gregory, and my grandma would go with us, and she didn't. These people didn't like my grandma because her adopted daughter, she liked this guy, and the girls there from Gregory didn't like her. So one time we stopped at the store, and we were drinking sodas, and then the girls come in the store and started saying bad things to my grandma, and my grandma put her soda down and got to where the girls were, and they pushed one of them, and she fell on the bottles where the sodas, the bottles, empty bottles, and they cut her behind. But it was weird.
I heard about somebody stabbing. I think your grandmother stabbed somebody with a fork.
I don't remember about. Oh no, my mom, when she was little, she said there was a man that would go visit them, and he would always say, "Oh, come on, do it on between the fingers." And Mama said, "Okay," and she just stabbed them. She didn't care about the fingers; she just stabbed them. But anyways, she that man never wanted to do that again, because it hurt him a lot. But still,
Which war was it? Do you know the one that your grandparents were fleeing from Mexico?
Oh, from
Was
the
it?
Carrancistas, and it was Pancho Villa and all of those that they were running away from, because she said there was a very horrible war, and they would go into the little towns and kill everybody, and eat all the animals. They had dogs, chickens, turkeys, whatever, and then they would go off and go into another town and they do the same thing, and they rape the women, and she said they were horrible. They were horrible people. So that's what my grandma and my grandpa ran away from. But it was she had a terrible life, and she said that when her mother-in-law didn't like her, so when the mother-in-law died, they put her in a burlap sack and put her over a donkey, and they went up the mountains, and they they put her in on the where where the mountains,
The cliff?
a cliff. They would pushed her down, and Grandma's. It took a long time for her to fall.
Oh no.
Yeah, but and her brother was a policeman, and she had two or three brothers and a sister. But we met one of them, but that was it. But it was we had a real good upbringing, real nice, We never suffered or anything, because like on when they were. It was time to kill the beef and all of that, and the goats and sheep and pigs. My aunt had a big freezer, and the men would tell them to fill it up, and we would get meat all the time, and vegetables and everything. So it was pretty good.
What was your favorite thing to do as a child?
Fight with my sisters and brothers. Yeah, we would play Superman. I was Superman all the time, no shirt, just my underwear. Yes. In my brother Nayo, with my mom and my aunt, we'd go to town every Saturday to buy groceries. But they was in the farm, and they had big barrels on the roof. So when on the bottom part of the roof, the water comes down and fills the barrels.
The gutter.
But my brother Ray, we were little. He would make us get in the barrels, and we'd be there all day long until my mom would about to come home and just get out, and we were all wrinkled up and everything. It was just terrible.
How'd you meet Roberto?
In school, he was a new boy in school. My friend Minerva. She said, "Oh, there's a new boy. Let's go look. I like him. And I said, "No, I don't want to go. I can't. Come on. I like the guy." And we met in high school, but he would never let nobody talk to me afterwards. Never let nobody talk to me. And all the boys would. Like when I was going to the prom, I asked Juan Aleman to take me. He was a freshman, and he said, "Yeah, I'll take you." And then he says, and during the week he says, "I'm not going to the prom with you." And I said, "Why not? Why aren't you going?" He said, "No, I'm not going," because Roberto had stopped him at the post office and got a knife and put it on his stomach. "If you take her to the prom, you're dead."
They're fighting over you, Grant?
Yeah.
You had it like that?
Yeah, it was horrible. He wouldn't let nobody talk to me. It just, I don't know, crazy. Yeah. That was it. And then we had all the kids, and it was real. Like Melissa, she says that your mom doesn't talk and all of that. It's okay, because her brother-in-law and his sisters and all of that. They don't talk to their other brother Robert because they got mad at him because their mother, what was her name? Anyway, she went to their house, to the lady's house, and she would go in the kitchen and start taking all the things out of the kitchen. Oh, this is mine and this is mine, and rearranging the kitchen. And the girl got mad. She said, "No, you don't do this anymore. This is not your house. This is my house." And the lady got mad, and then the girl threw the mother-in-law out. So since then, they haven't talked to each other for about 30, 40 years, you know. But he's always real nice to me. He used to be a fireman. He's retired now. But every time I would go to Melissa's, I would stop at a filling station, and he would be there too, and he'd hug me from behind, you know, or he was real nice. But I never told Elisa.
What's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory of
What's the furthest back you can remember as a child?
I don't know, Papa. Just when we were little, we got a lot of toys, and we'd be real happy. We would be real happy because of all the big boxes of toys that we got, you know, and it was a lot of fun. And that man would bring them to us. We would be in bed, and then he would be calling.
What kind of car did you guys have? What did it look like? Oh no, you guys were walking, right? When you were little.
Oh, my aunt got a car every year. She'd get a Ford.
Right.
Every year she would get a new car. And my mom only had my father's truck because my mom didn't drive. So, you know, my father worked all the time, and my aunt would take my mom grocery shopping. And then when me, my little brother, and my little sister would get in the back seat of the car when we go grocery shopping. And my brother would say, "Oh, I got the rag, girls. I got the rag." We didn't know what that meant. But you know, it was real fun, and we would stick our arms out the window with the wind, you know, blowing. But those things I remember.
What was your favorite song back in the day?
Oh, I didn't have a favorite song. I did have a favorite song, but I don't remember the name of it. Like my brother that died, he had a favorite song. The little white cloud that died.
Mm-hmm.
That was his favorite song. And my brother Ray had also a favorite song, and I don't remember mine. I don't remember mine. I know I had one. My father showed me it was my father's favorite song, so I liked it too. But I don't remember the name of it. You know, but that was it.
What did your dad do for work?
He was a foreman at a farm. It was a farming ranch, and he would take all the people. He drove a truck and go pick them up at their house and put them where they had to work. And they had wheat, corn, cotton, potatoes. They had a lot of different foods and vegetables. And of course, when they were ready to pick cotton, him and my uncle would go to Laredo with a big truck, and they would go and pick up a lot of people that were already. Every year they would go, and they would fill the truck and drive it to where we lived. And where we lived, there was some rooms that were one next to the other, like a house. And then at the very end there was a house, and that's where all the cotton pickers lived, you know. But and then at the end of when the season was over, they would take them back to Laredo. But it was a lot of fun because the people there would make Mexican candy, and we would go and buy it from them. Me, my little sister, my little brother, and then we would sneak when they were picking cotton. We would sneak in their rooms, and we'd smoke. Yeah, we smoked cigarettes and ate their candy. But you know, and we had a toilet that was a 3-seater. So we three would sit on the toilet, an outdoor toilet.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Huh?
How old were you roughly? Just little?
We were little, about 6, 7 years old, and we would, when my tia would go with my mom to buy groceries, we'd sneak it in their house and get candy, and we'd steal the Mexican candy they had, and my grandma, she started drinking, and one time we went, and she was bent over a barrel. We couldn't see her butt. We said, "Oh, Grandma, what are you doing?" You know, but she didn't know because she was drunk, and then we went in and would get through the kitchen and then get all the candy and run home. And then one time, she was feeding the ducks and turkeys and everything, but we were all, me and my brother Mel and Socorro, all of us, we were up on the branch on a tree, and my grandmother's down there feeding all the birds and chickens and all of that, and the branch broke and we fell down. She chased us. And another time she was feeding the cattle. She had a lot of cows, milk cows, and she had one called a Jersey. She was the main cow that would bring the others. And my brother Ray said there was a trout. I think it's called a trout where you throw food in there. Mm-hmm. And he says, Mercy, before they eat the cows, Grandma gets here with the cows, hide on